Hello, YouTube. Thank you so much for stopping by again, and welcome to the
Mobility
Mobility
Bro!
Bros. I'm Coach Cliff, and I'm here with my host and dear good friend, Ron Hylton. And we're here to talk about things like athletic mindset, the pain and processes of our clients, our practitioners, and how our mindsets of practitioners are, um, athletic mindset, mobility, of course. And we are blessed to have a special guest with us. But before we go to our special guest, I would like to say thank you to our sponsors. Our sponsors, Fitness Essentials, Be Legendary Athletic Apparel. You see the swag. Definitely go down in the description, click the link. There's always amazing shirts, and right now he's rocking the Irish shirt because we're right around that time. And also Paul Fix Supplies. If you're a family lover and a pet lover and you have a pet animal in your house and you want to get them a toy, a new bed, some grooming material, check out Paul Fix Supplies. Thank you so much to Fitness Essentials, Be Legendary Athletic Apparel, and Paul Fix Supplies. Ron, welcome. Happy March. We're in March now, man.
I
Uh,
know, I know.
can you believe it? What have you been up to? And I can't wait for you to share with us this outstanding guest we have today that everyone's looking forward to meeting.
Man, you know what? What I've been up to is just being awesome all day. I got nothing else to do but to be awesome and be legendary. That's what we do here on the Mobility Bros, right? And
Cheers to that.
speaking of awesome and amazing, we have this awesome guest, Artemis. And man, Artemis, so I have to say, I started following you right around when you got certified. I believe when you got certified with the Iron Maiden, like I saw you do the press.
Oh, okay.
I saw
Mhm.
that video of you, and I was like, this woman is a beast. She just pressed 24 kilos, right? So, uh,
Yeah, and if you met me in person, you would be like, "Are you sure that's possible?" Like,
yeah, like you had it. I think at one point you got like a little stuck, and you just freaking just crushed it, man.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna give some. I'm gonna try to give some highlights, but I mean, this woman's amazing. She has a lot of background. Artemis is a multi-passionate entrepreneur, woman, fitness, strength training, and kettlebell expert with almost 20 years experience. Original native of Massachusetts, say Massachusetts, of Massachusetts. With time spent in DC, Maryland, Maryland, MD's Maryland, right? In VA, am I saying it right? Yeah, MD, VA, in New York and New Orleans, and currently in the city of LA. Excuse me, you got me saying LA, Cliff. Las Vegas. The foundation for her zone of genius is based upon her core value of service, with which lies in teaching, coaching, creating content to help mindful women over 40 reclaim health, strength, hormone balance, confidence, power, and build their dream body and at midlife. Just kind of go around. Artemis had acquired her black belt in kung fu at 32, classical and ballet. She's an entrepreneur. Uh, Owned her own brick and mortar gym, and shortly after Artemis left her. She was a consulting, had a consulting job. Left her consulting job. She fell in love with kettlebells and the transformational impact they had on her body, strength, and confidence. She went on to become a kettlebell expert, opening up her own hardstyle kettlebell training gym in Boston. All right, it's gonna go to school around like a little bit. Artemis is. Let's go back here.
Page flip.
Page flip. I'm trying to go through it, right? Um, Artemis now currently has her own business, aligned and empowered. Am I correct? Am I saying that correct?
Mhm. That's correct.
Provides fitness, nutrition, coaching to women over 40 who want to get their mojo back and in midlife and reclaim their inner badass, right? Artemis has a BA in psychology and French language and literature from the George Washington University and certified in organizational leadership from Villanova University, and a line a lungful. She is fluent in French and has basic proficiency in her in her Arabic, Italian, and Greek, and she currently holds certifications in page flip.
God, this is so
Listen,
embarrassing.
I'm trying. I'm
Don't
trying to
be
cut it
embarrassed.
down.
No, it's
Listen,
actually
you should see
pretty.
all my highlights and trying not. Listen, if it was up to me, I would just read the whole thing. She has certifications in personal training, National Academy of Sports Medicine, Strong First Elite Instructor, Strong First Iron Maiden, Strong First Team Leader, Certified Kettlebell Functional Movement Specialist, Ultimate Sandbag Dynamic Variable Resistance Training Level 1, and Precision Nutrition Level 1. Okay, Artemis, thank you for coming to the show. She is amazing. She has all these amazing accolades, and I love it. First question I want to lay out is what empowered you initially to get into fitness? Like, where did that love initially come from? Did it start when you were in high school? Did it start when you were in college? Like, where did that initially came from?
Well, thank you for having me on the show. I haven't thanked you for having me here. I'm excited to be here. I, from a very young age, I started studying classical ballet when I was a toddler, when I was 3.5. And that's something that I did until I was 27. And then when I turned 27, that's when I went into that year is when I stopped dancing and started studying Kung Fu and got into martial arts. And so I would say that like fitness has just been a huge part of my life, my entire life. And with ballet, I was very serious about it. I studied at the Boston Ballet. I was in their Nutcracker, their Midsummer's Night's Dream is in their children's casts, and I went to dance camps every summer. So that was a very large part of my life as like growing up as like a preteen and teenager in high school. So I would say definitely from a very young age, fitness has been a huge part of my life. And I started lifting weights when I was 15. Like, that was when like Terminator 2 came out, and I wanted Linda Hamilton arms. I was like, I
Mhm.
want those arms. And so that's when I like joined the YMCA and I was like, just sitting there. That was when Nautilus was really popular. And I'm sitting there like doing bicep curls and like,
Yeah, yeah.
triceps extension, just trying to get her arms. And yeah, so I would just say it's just always been a really hard, like big part of my life. And my my parents were always neither one of them I would say were athletes, but my mom was like she was kind of like crunchy, you know what I mean? Before it was like cool to be crunchy. Like she used to shop at Whole Foods before Whole Foods was Whole Foods.
Mm.
It was Bread and Circus.
Oh wow.
And so they opened up, I grew up in Newton, Massachusetts, and they opened up like a bread and circus down the street. I remember my mom being so excited about it, but she was always about like, just like healthy, organic food. Like we never had any like chips or soda or anything like that in the house. It was like the only like anything, it was like we could have juice, not soda. We could have Bavarian pretzels, not potato chips. We could never have sugar cereal, and my dad always had a vegetable garden. Um, so that was like I had that aspect of my life as well as like just like the health and nutrition part of it. And then I was growing up doing these athletic activities. And so yeah, it's just it's part of my ethos, I guess.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It sounds like it was just you were born into a healthy mindset with your parents having this understanding of what health was for them and how they defined it and how they were willing to invest in it. Your dad investing his time in his garden to make sure you had a
Hmm.
vegetable garden. Your mother investing the time and the capital into finding out where the most healthy stuff is before it was cool, before it was popular. And yeah, there's books about health going all the way back to the 1800s, but it shows
Yeah.
that someone had to pay attention to those things and see those things come into fruition. My question is, how did you enjoy your ballet experience? I know you said you had ballet since you were 3 years old. Sometimes we don't choose the things we get involved in at that young age. Our parents do for us. But to
Mhm.
be from three to in your mid late 20s means that there had to have been you took it very seriously, like you mentioned, some part of you that just really fell in love with it. So how was that for you? And what was that for you in that time? What was that meaning? What was that relationship like?
I have an older sister. She's 4.5 years older than me. And so why I started to go to ballet classes was, of course, whatever my older sister was doing, I wanted to do. So she started taking ballet classes with us with a private instructor. And so I kept insisting, I want to go too. I want to go too. I want to be with Mary. And so then my mom got the woman, I think the the instructor, she didn't usually take on people and children until they were like 4, but for some reason she allowed me to enroll and start taking classes. And I really did enjoy it. Like I loved dance. I like made a lot of friends. I really did enjoy doing ballet as a child, but I do have there. Classical ballet is challenging for women in their body image. And I will say that it did like negatively impact my body image. And, you know, you have, when I was 11 years old, I was going to the Boston Ballet, and this is just a prime example of what goes down. And I was out sick for a week with the stomach flu. And I came back, and my instructor, she said to me, she said, Artemis, you lost weight. Mind you, I'm 11, right? Like I'm in fifth grade. And I said, yeah, I've been out with the stomach flu. She said, yeah, you should keep it off. It looks good. So
Wow.
I remember I told my mom that after class, and my mom was like, hell no, like we're taking you out of the Boston Ballet. And I was like, but I want to be Clara in the Nutcracker. Like, I don't care that this woman is
Oh,
tearing my body down at
oh.
11. But that wasn't the only time. Like, I don't, if you look at me, I have very much like a gymnast body, or like, I don't really have like this the classical ballet lines, which I do think that like body type has evolved over the years. And
Absolutely.
like for example, like I think Misty Copeland is really a trendsetter with like helping to bring some diversity to classical ballet. There are dancers like her, but I will say, like, yeah, I don't really have that physique that you would expect from a ballet dancer, and so it was something I always struggled with. I always thought my thighs were too big, like, and I always thought I was fat, like at a very young age, like I didn't fit in, and so that was very. So there were a lot. Obviously, I loved to dance, and I thought it was so beautiful, and I really was good at it and I enjoyed doing it. But then there was this other aspect that really screwed with my mind a lot. And it did impact how I saw my body I would say, like, I really didn't start to have peace with that until like my late 20s, early 30s. It was something that really impacted me for a large part of my life. And one of the things that did help to change that though was kung fu, was martial arts, was when I started to study kung fu. Like, you're not in a leotard and tights, your body is not being scrutinized. I mean, you're wearing like a big baggy t-shirt and like MC Hammer pants, and yeah, I mean, no one
Yeah,
cares what your
No
body
one
yeah.
looks like
cares. No
under
one
there.
Uh,
cares.
Yeah, they're like,
throw
hey,
that thing on,
can
tie
you
that
do
belt
some
on.
knuckle push-ups? That's really all I care about. And so
Yeah,
that was very empowering. And I think that really started to help me have this mindset shift. I started to feel more confident and started to focus on what I could do rather than what I looked like and my strength and things like that.
I think that's a beautiful
Amazing.
acknowledgement of the transition and honesty and vulnerability that many people will resonate. Because there's beautiful movies out there about dancers. I remember watching a ton of different movies with my wife about dancers and the challenges and the body image challenges. So sharing that piece, I want to acknowledge that it is rough and unfortunate, and I love the fact that you took that same body and that same mindset and you took it from dance, which you still love, and I hope you still do all the time, to kung fu, where then your body becomes your weapon, your tool in a different way, because you were using it in grace and in beauty and in expression of dance and art, and then you took it and used it in power and strength and self-confidence, and it shows what you can do when you're self-aware, when you're striving for self-love and self-understanding and allowing yourself to separate from other people's nonsense and images and frames, and you reframe yourself in that way. And so I think that's a beautiful kind of beginning of your journey into health and wellness, Ron. This is the Artemis is dope, man. No
Yeah,
wonder no wonder you're flipping pages.
yeah. I think I got five more, dude.
Yeah, so the second question I wanted to ask is why were you embarrassed about Ron sharing your accomplishments? Why did that come out?
I don't know. It's just so much. Well, because there's just so, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm 49. So it's like and I started out in the fitness industry part-time as a spin instructor in 2003
Oh,
and did that for like 5 years while I was working at my consulting job. And then I left in 2008 to go work full-time. And so it's like, you you do a lot. Like 20 years is like a long time. Like
yeah,
I've done a
no, wait.
lot of stuff. And so yeah, it's like I think it's like when people ask me for a short bio or to like sum it up, I'm like, man, like how can I put this together to be an elevator pitch? It's really hard.
I think you share your heroic, unique identity in the way you do it. And I think it's beautiful. 20 years in the industry, I can relate, Ron can relate. We get to the later part of our years and we've accomplished so much. And we've worked with, you know, hundreds of people, and we have people who've worked with us for 15 plus years. They know our children. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like there's real
Yeah,
relationship. And I think that's
yeah.
the beauty of how we serve, how we serve our communities, how we serve individuals, and how we get fed. And it gives us the energy. That's why we're able to do it. So many people burn out, and it's partially because I don't think they understand that you're not looking at people as dollar signs in this industry. You're really helping heal people, getting them stronger, building self confidence, relating to them when it comes to body image issues and body type issues and what looks healthy and what isn't. All the crap, right? We're dispelling myths every single day in this industry. And
Purpose.
so, congratulations to you for living through your purpose. We really appreciate you being here. And I know Ron has a ton of questions, so I'm going to sit back and let him ask a few.
Okay.
So I really applaud you just for just being a servant leader. Just from from your bio and just from a little bit of us going back and forth. And I swear you pop up on my Facebook feed and Instagram feed like all day, like all day. I'm not trying to sound funny, but it's like you pop up and then I'm like intrigued what you have to say, right? It's like you're so passionate about what you're doing. One of the questions is I know that you got into weight training early and all that. How did you transition into kettlebells? I know for me, I got into kettlebells back in um, 2010, and I started with this ridiculous program. I'm like so embarrassed that I even it was like a program I bought, like a DVD program I bought on TV,
Hmm.
and it was whack. I don't even want to talk about it. But anyway,
How
I
so
started.
many start, though. It's how so
I was
many
gonna
people
say that's
start,
how it all starts.
I know that's how it all
Yeah,
starts. I know
that's how
right?
it all
that's how it all starts,
starts.
Right?
and
Simmons,
then
man, right? Like,
I know,
let's
and then
Yeah,
I I got
yeah.
certified with RKC, and then
Uh-huh.
that was in 2012. And then after that, I just love bells. I just saw the benefit of what that can do. I'm a grab and go person. I like grabbing. I love the ease of the tools. So how did you get involved with kettlebells yourself?
So that was in 2008. Yeah, it was like 2008. Um, and that was when I left. I left my consulting job. I was working full time. I was working full time at two different commercial gyms, what used to be Town Sports International, but I don't even know if they are in existence anymore post pandemic, and then Equinox. And at Equinox, I was a group fitness instructor, and they were rolling out a kettlebell class, and I wanted to teach it. And I had known about kettlebells and used them like a little bit, not like, swings, like nothing crazy or anything like that. And I was like, I really want to teach this class. And so they had a 1 day quote unquote certification because it is like with a company called Kettlebell Concepts, which may
Okay.
still be in existence. Um, and so I was like, all right, I'm going to do the certification. I'm going to teach the class and whatever. So I did the certification with the other group fitness instructors, and it was just hilarious because we were using like 10 and 15-pound kettlebells. And after that, like for a full-on week, we were all like, we couldn't move. We were like, what the hell just happened to us? Why are we so damn sore from these teeny tiny weights that we
Funny.
used? And now we all know there is this massive delayed onset muscle soreness with kettlebells because there's a lot of eccentric loading. But anyhow, so
Preach.
that was like kind of like what started me getting into like really and what I loved about the kettlebell after I recovered from being sore for like a week was the fact that and it was something that I think just because of my background in dance and martial arts, I really relate to like the skill
Mhm.
of lifting, the skill of weight training, the skill of kung fu, whatever it is.
Yes.
And you really have to when it comes to kettlebell training, and I'm not saying that like powerlifting is not a skill or like anything. I mean, powerlifting is very much a skill, but like, or bodybuilding is a skill. I'm not saying that's not, but like there's just something about kettlebell movements
Different
is
level
like
of the
you really
skill.
have to dial in the skill
Yeah, you
and you
really.
get better at it and better at it and better at it. And I really enjoyed that about it. I'm like, oh, this is weight training, but I really gravitated towards it because of my background in dance and martial arts. And then after I started using them for myself and with my clients, it I noticed that I just started to have really dramatic a really dramatic body transformation change in terms of body composition, and then also I noticed how it really positively impacted my performance in a different way than any other like weight training had done in the past. And I noticed that for myself and my clients, and so it was just something that I really like fell in love with after that. And then I went on to like that became the primary when I was lifting, whether it was with myself or with my clients, it really was the primary tool that I would use for myself and my clients. And then I went on to got my RKC certification in 2011 and, everything else after that, which, your question was just about like how did I get into it? So that's pretty much how I got into
It's all good. It's all good.
it.
I think the levels are, and then I know when Pavel broke off from RKC and created Strong
Mhm.
First, it was just a whole nother like world, in philosophy that he was teaching.
Hey
I
Ron, share with our viewers who that is that you just mentioned, so they have a little bit of understanding of what you're talking
So
about.
Pavel's
Because,
Russian.
well, I mean, yes,
Yeah,
okay,
so,
and
so Pavel, I would say Pavel is someone. He actually, if correct me if I'm wrong, Artemis, he popularized kettlebell training in the United States. Uh,
Yes, Pavel Tsatsouline is responsible for the modern kettlebell movement in the United States. He brought kettlebells over from Russia, and he really is like responsible for why people know about kettlebells so much. Mhm.
Absolutely. So and I
And
and
the RKC stands for Russian Kettlebell Challenge. So when Pavel came over and he wanted to have a certification, he created the Russian Kettlebell Challenge, and that's where that was. And then like all businesses, like it was around 2012, I think, is when there was a split. He and his partner in the RKC, they they split up, and his partner went and took over the RKC, and then Pavel went and created Strong First. And they both are hardstyle kettlebell training. They're
yeah,
both the same, but they just, split off.
yeah.
and that happens in business for
Yeah,
sure. I know
Yeah,
that
exactly.
myself. So,
so I was trained. So a quick story. I was training for. I hired a team leader back in 2020, right coming into 2022. I hired a team leader to help me prep for my Strong First Level One cert, and he put me on a 10-week program. It was freaking phenomenal.
Hmm.
And then in the last day of the program, um, I was I was just crushing it. Like I was working, I was crushing it, and then he did he set up a kettlebell ladder. So he had uh 20 kilo, 24 kilo, 28 kilo, and then 32 kilo bells. So 5 presses, you go up, and I got up to the 28 kilo, which I've never had a problem pressing. I do a strict press, and all I heard a pop in my arm. I ripped all three heads of my tricep off. I don't
Oh
know. It was a strict
no.
press. I was doing a strict press, and then all I saw was my arm just torque down,
Oh,
and then the other
Oh,
belt I still have fully locked, and I just threw it, and then I fell to the ground. Um, so I had to get that reattached, and I think I was 4 weeks out from actually going for the certification, and I couldn't do it. It took 13 months for my arm to heal.
wow.
So, and long story short, I just never tested again.
yeah.
So,
That's
so,
That's a
so yeah, it's just
brutal
a crazy
injury.
story.
yeah.
But but yeah, my instructor was phenomenal. He did a great job. He got me to where I needed to be.
Hmm.
It was just a freak accident. Um,
Yeah, that's
And you do
crazy.
need to train for that certification. I mean, I think that's like
Dude,
one thing. It's that certification weekend is really intense.
yeah,
It
you
is
do.
insane.
I've got like
Yeah.
4 or 5 different certifications, and
Yeah.
out of everything I've ever done, that is one you absolutely. It's not a show up and get
No.
certified. You have to.
No, and I've seen so many people just show up and not train for it, and I'm just like, oh, this is not going to be good. Like, never mind like the snatch test at the end, but really it's about the volume of the lifts that you're doing all weekend long because you're like, it's, teach, practice, workout, teach, practice, workout. And it's just you have to prepare your body and your hands. Like don't, if they don't prepare correctly, like with the kettlebell, they'll get hot hands. Like they won't
Yeah,
be able to, their hands will not be able to tolerate the volume of ballistics, the swings and the cleans and things like that over the weekend. And yeah, so you really got to train for it
yeah.
Yes, and
big time.
just to share with the viewers, what exactly is hot hands? And when you say train for the certification, we're talking about the RCA certification, right? The kettlebell certification, correct? So could you
Yeah,
tell us
whether
a
you're
little
going
bit
to the
about,
RKC or the Strong First. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So what are hot hands? And how does that happen with kettlebells for people who have not
So
used it or maybe scared of using it?
there's a few different ways that your body needs to, like, your hands and your forearms need to develop tissue tolerance to the kettlebell, the actual kettlebell itself, and then also like volume of doing like kettlebell swings. And so I would say like the first tissue tolerance comes where, like, for example, the way you hold the kettlebell, it rests on your forearm. So a lot of times people will find that their forearms and their wrists get achy and sore and tender and can't tolerate the mass of the weight because it's this asymmetrical shape on their wrist and their forearm. So that just takes some time. You just build it up with light weights. I usually also recommend like wear some wrist guards in the meantime until you build up that tissue tolerance. And personally, I even experienced it when I was training for the Iron Maiden challenge. Like any bells like from 20 kilograms up to 24 were really that was causing my wrists and my forearms a lot of stress until I built up that tissue tolerance to support it. Now, as it relates to like hot hands, then the palm of your hands, they also have to develop this tissue tolerance to like holding the handle of the kettlebell and doing swings. And so if you don't have that tissue tolerance of like that time under tension with the kettlebell swings, your hands they will literally get hot. They will be like the tissue will get like red, inflamed, hot. Like you'll just want like a glass of ice water and just put your hands on the glass or like on the glass of ice water to ice the palms of your hands. And eventually it goes away. Eventually you like build up the tissue tolerance and it's fine. And it's primarily from like, the iron in your hand. Like it's primarily from like the friction of the iron on it of the kettlebell in your hand.
It's amazing that the human body adapts so well, and that's
Hmm.
why we get all these changes. And
I
no, it
know.
doesn't spot
And you get
reduce. So,
stronger from it. It's
and
pretty
you
crazy.
do exactly. And no, you can't
Hmm.
spot reduce just by doing bicep curls. So you're never going to get the R's by just doing bicep curls and triceps at 15. But as we
Yeah.
go into 20 years of this industry, we learn that like how the body adapts, how the body changes, why time under tension is so valuable, why failure is a good thing in this industry, and how to like change our mindset. And I think that's just a beautiful thing. And so I do have a question that I'd like to ask about your experience with the group that you're teaching. Now, I know Ron read something about you teaching women. I know you mentioned you're 49 and you look like you're 20. How are you communicating to your audience? Because Ron says you're very captivating as well. How are you communicating to your audience so that they feel seen, heard, and understood? That they know that they can achieve these things, that they have love for their body image and things like that.
Yeah. Well, for me, like when I turned 45, I had a lot of changes to my body. And, I'm someone who, like, everything, I guess how I communicate it to other women is that, you would look at me and you would think, oh, she's not going to have any problems going through perimenopause. She's not going to have any problems going through menopause. Like, her body's just going to be rock solid the whole way through. No, it wasn't. Like, when I turned 45, I started to lose muscle tone. I started to get belly fat. My body started to change in ways that wasn't familiar to me. I had like really bad anxiety. I had really bad like gut issues, like gastrointestinal issues. I had a lot of bloating and inflammation, and it was, and then like I did what a lot of women do, and then they fail. Is like you just try to go back to like doing the things you've always been doing, like in your 20s and your 30s, and like I'm like stuff is just not working the way it used to. Oh my God, like what do I need to change here? And so I just share my story a lot that like I wasn't immune to any of that. Like that all went down for me. And it took me, I would say, like I didn't really start. I started to do some research about just little tweaks that I needed to make to my diet, like increasing my protein intake and being mindful of moderate intensity cardio and how much of that I was doing, and really take it down to a lot of walking and more lifting, which, always has been like the secret sauce for body composition anyway. But like really just I could get away with going to a couple of spin classes or like running a couple of times a week. And then I got to a point where I was like, oh my God, I can't really get away with that anymore. If I want to feel like crap, sure. But like I don't want to feel crap. And and I started to research some midlife supplements. I started taking creatine and really doubling down on anti-inflammatories like omega-3 and really I've always been like someone who protected her sleep, but just being really regimented about my sleep schedule and making sure I'm getting enough sleep and recovery. And that was one thing too, is like in the past I could get away with like not having a full rest day or two, but then I was like when I started to incorporate like at least one full on rest day a week, I'm like this is what my body needs right now so that I can feel good. And so I just tell my story about how like perimenopause hit me too, and it hit me really hard. And I am a fitness professional with a lot of experience, and I didn't know what the hell to do. So I had to go and do some research and adjust some things and create a whole new method for how I approached my health and fitness so that I could feel good, I could get my abs back, and I could stop having so many like GI issues, and I could reduce the bloating and inflammation. I mean, I just had like systemic inflammation, and it took me probably, I want to say, almost 2 years. It wasn't until like late 2022, that was when, like, late in my 46th year, was when I really felt like I had a really good rhythm with this new method of what I'm doing at midlife for my health and fitness. So I let women know, like, listen, you would think that I suffered from it too, and this is what I've learned, and I'm going to teach you what I learned so you can apply it and you can start to feel better. And it is really just small adjustments. But the thing is I also learned that, like, when I talk to women about this, when they're struggling, they're defaulting to alcohol to de-stress, right? When they have like sugar cravings, they're like not eating enough in general, and they're definitely not eating enough protein. Like, so like there are things that they're doing that's counterproductive for their hormones and their metabolism. And yeah, so and I think that that definitely resonates. Like women resonate with that. They're like, all right, like you've been through it too. Maybe I would have thought just by looking at you, you wouldn't have gone through it, but you have gone through it and you found the solution.
That's
That's
cool.
really beautiful.
It's really awesome. I like how in your in your Facebook page that you actually show your before and afters. Like you have fitness professionals, they don't really they just show their after. you know,
Yeah.
they just show
I
them.
wish I had taken, and I'll be honest with you, I do really wish I had taken more befores. Um, but that year, like especially 2021, I just like I was like, I feel like such crap. But so I do try to pull like what I have from that year. I really wish I had more that I could like show people.
That
But
was a
hopefully
great
there's enough.
2021. 2021 was a crazy year for
Yeah,
the
listen,
entire
I
world.
think everybody just had this weirdness in 2020,
Mhm.
2021. Like I went through it. Here I am thinking I'm like, I'm a fitness professional. And next thing you know, I blink, I'm like 214 pounds. I was like, dude, I gotta get rid of this. And then Cliff will even tell you, I went from 214, and then I entered a men's physique competition. I signed up for a men's physique competition in 2023, got down to 155, got third place. I freaking crushed it. Like it just, but it was just like it was just a funky time, I think, for everybody. Like because everyone was cooped up in their house, coming out of COVID.
Mm,
Like
yeah, it was.
weird. It was
Yeah,
just
it was
weird.
tough. I definitely want to acknowledge the fact that you said, listen, I not only was I raised at 3 years old, as conscious as I can remember, right? 3 years old, in activities, eating from a fresh garden. Mom knew Whole Foods before Whole Foods was bought by Amazon. I mean, we're talking years of education, 20 years in the business, working with all sorts of individuals, kettlebell training and all this stuff. And you weren't immune to the humanity that is aging, changing of our chemistry, changing of our biochemistry, and all of those things. And so you're sharing with others. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel guilty about how your body's changing. Don't go negative, but let's figure out what small tweaks, what can we integrate into your system? What are you doing that's lacking? What are you doing that's better? I had to coach, I had to find ways to learn about myself, even though I thought I knew every single thing about myself. So don't feel bad if you're just starting or you're in a journey or you thought you had this or you're comparing to your wedding pictures or all those things. And men need to do that too. And I think we both, as men and women, need to realize as we get older, women have struggles with menopause and things that we'll never experience.
Yeah.
And as men, we get the beer gut, the belly fat, the laziness, the testosterone dip, the things that cause us to kind of get back. You need to get back on the horse, and it's finding, like you said, the little things that you need to change about yourself, your diet, getting really in tune, and plugging into someone that is passionate enough, like you are, Artemis, to share those things vulnerably and open. So I think your community is getting a huge benefit, and we are also getting a huge benefit from you sharing that point. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for how
And I
you're
think
sharing that.
you made a really good point too. You said like, don't compare yourself to your wedding pictures. And that's the thing that I see like women in their 40s, in their mid to late 40s and even early 50s, like that are who are struggling with this. I see them comparing themselves to their past selves in their 20s and 30s. And we got to stop doing that. Like you can't do that. You're not that you're different now. This is the whole different chapter of your life and your body is totally different. And quite frankly, if I go back to I don't want to be doing the things that I was doing in my 30s. Like they were appropriate for what I was doing in my 30s, but now I'm like I don't want to do that. I don't even want to do honestly like what I was doing in my early 40s. Like from 39 to 41, I was competing in powerlifting and, I like deadlifted 315 pounds at like 115 pound body weight. Like, I don't want to do the training that I had to do in order to do that now at 49. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
Like, that was great. I'm so glad that I did that and I got hella strong, but like, I don't need to go back and do that again. So like
Yeah.
we need to you need to start to own like where you are in the present at
Yes.
midlife and what is happening and like be like, find what works for you right now at midlife and find like what it is that's going to help you to be like your best self, your best physique, your best health, whatever it is.
How often
100%.
how often do you recommend like so when you bring on a client, they're interested in your program, what you have to offer. What do you typically recommend for a woman to start doing some type of strength training, or do you also ask them to purchase any weights, or do you just say are you affiliated with a gym? Like, how do you get them started? Because you're 100% online, correct? You do everything.
I am.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how do you get them started in their journey that when you start talking to them?
It depends on where they're at, like if they're already lifting or not. So, like, so if they are coming to me and they are not lifting at all, right? They're just like, they're, and even their steps are crap. Like, their like daily steps are like 3 to 5K a day and they're not lifting. Like, who knows what they're doing? I don't know. Like, maybe they're doing like things, random workouts here and there occasionally. Maybe they're doing a lot of Peloton. Um, I usually say, okay, ultimately, I would love for you to be lifting 4 times a week,
Mm,
right? Because 4 times a week is like, I think it's a great frequency, but it's not overwhelming, right? Like, you're not trying to be doing like body part splits 6 days a week, right? But let's start you at three. Let's get you to master those 3 days a week. And so that you can do that and gradually get your steps up to like 10K, which we'll do in like increments. And that's where I have them start. And then there is a point if they're consistent with that in like the first 4 to 6 weeks, there is a point where they're like, okay, I'm ready to take on that fourth day. Like, I'm ready to add that fourth day in. And then as far as like if they go to a gym or they work out at home, I make sure it fits their lifestyle. So, for example, I had a client who is a mom of two, and she has a toddler and a baby. She is also she's also a nurse, and so she's out of the house 5 days a week. And so for her, balancing, and she's like her husband travels a lot. So she was able to fit in working out 3 days a week. She had like one day a week during the week off, like Tuesdays off, and then Saturdays and Sundays. So her workout days were like Sunday, Tuesday, Saturday, and making because it was just impossible on the other work days for her to work out. And for her, she had to work out at home. She did not have time. She hardly had time to go to the grocery store. Like, she was just constantly ordering like delivery and Amazon and things like that, right? So she hardly had time to go to the grocery store, so she had to work out at home. So we just made sure she had a setup at home. And it can be really, really simple. And it doesn't have to be kettlebells either. I get people who come to me who have never trained with kettlebells before. And so I don't start them out on kettlebells. Maybe I'll have them start doing like deadlifts with a kettlebell, like simple goblet squats, deadlifts, like simple stuff like that. So they get familiar with the tool. But I work with my clients in terms of like, I have them tell me, like, walk me through your week, walk me through a typical day. Let's see what fits into your lifestyle so that actually will do this and you will be consistent. Because if that client had to go to the gym, there's no way she would have consistently been working out at all. It just wasn't possible. And then, or there's like, I have a new client who actually, she used to come see me at my gym back in Massachusetts, but she just came back to work with me online. And for her, she doesn't really have a lot of equipment at home, and her kids are older, and she's like, I can block out my time and I can go to the gym. I'm like, that's what you're going to do. You're going to join the YMCA and you're going to go to the gym. So it really just depends on the client and what works for them. And my primary focus is determining like what method is going to ensure that you are going to actually do it and do it consistently.
mm. Helping people actualize is huge. Allowing them to actually get in there, see the results, know they can do it because everyone's looking at how crazy their day is. You're kind of showing them a silver lining and this is reality. This can happen. If you're dedicated, then you can do it. And I think that's beautiful because
Yeah.
we all miss 6, 7, 8 hours in a day. We don't know where it went, but some of it went on the phone, some of it went on sitting at the toilet, especially guys. Come on, man. We sit at the toilet way longer than we need to. We'd be done 20 minutes ago. We're still on the toilet till our legs fall asleep, like all these little time that eats away at your day where you could be doing 30 minutes of an exercise and feeling good about building your basic foundation. I love it. I think that you're
Mhm.
you're helping a lot of people. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
How do people find you now? And it's perfect segue. How do people find you online? What are your handles? Where are they looking at to get motivation from you, Artemis?
Yeah, I would say the best way to find me is Instagram. And I am also on Facebook, but I would say it's my primary social media platform is Instagram. And my handle is I am the Artemis. And I did used to have another handle, but I ended up and I think this all falls in line with like 2021 post-COVID burnout and everything. I deactivated that and I started a new one fresh, and so that's why I have a new handle, and that's how people find me. I mean, I guess they just find me on Instagram, they find me on Facebook, and that's pretty much it.
That's easy. They know where to go. We'll
Yeah,
make sure to put those in the
yeah.
description below.
Below.
That's awesome.
I
Ron, I know
love
you
your
have
name.
another
That
one.
your parents gave you a phenomenal name. I don't know anyone that has your first name. No one. That it's
Thank you.
like
Yeah,
I kind of try to look it up.
my mom was studying, my dad is Greek, and then my mom was studying, she was getting her bachelor's in classics and studying Greek mythology. And so they named me Artemis. My older sister, she's Mary. She got like the family name. There's always got to be a Maria. So both my grandmothers are named Mary. So that's why my sister got Mary. And then my younger brother, they got really nuts with him because they named him Leonidas, like King Leonidas
Okay.
from like the movie 300, like the
Okay.
Spartan
Okay.
general.
Okay.
Yes,
So yeah,
I
sorry,
need I
sorry.
need a cool name like that.
yeah, it's
Let's
impressive.
go. That's did he play? What sports did he play? They had to throw his sports. Did he play sports?
So he karate and
Okay.
then moved on from karate to taekwondo. He's a fourth degree black belt in taekwondo. So he can actually test people in taekwondo for their black belts. And then right now he's studying jujitsu. He's been studying jujitsu for a number of years, but I don't know what belt he is. And he is also strong first level two. He's a strong first level two
Oh,
instructor. So he's
wow.
very athletic. Yeah,
Is
he's
family very important to you? Like, how close and how tight is family when it comes to this journey for you? When it comes to your health, when it comes to, overcoming all the obstacles you overcame young, to getting into karate, to becoming a 20-year professional in this industry, to serving so many other families. Like, how important is family for you, and how tight are your family, if that's okay?
it is very important to me. I will say, my parents are here in Las Vegas. Like after my husband and I moved out here, my mom came out to visit, and then she was like, we can move out here and not have to shovel snow, because I lived in Massachusetts where I was born and where I grew up. And so then they moved out here in 2019. And growing up, my brother and my sister and we were all very close. And I will say, like, I think we still have this close bond. But of course, everyone is kind of. My sister is in Massachusetts. My brother is in New York. He's married. He has a baby, and his oldest daughter is 5. And then my sister has 2 kids, and she's remarried and everything. So, we all have our own lives, but I do think that we are all like, family is very important, and we try to be as like close as we can with everything that we have going on in our lives as adults. And one thing that was really cool for me, just speaking on the topic of like, just to give you an example of like how family is important, is when I when I did the Iron Maiden challenge. What was really great for me was my brother attended. It was at a Strong First Level 1 certification in New York City in 2014, in July 2014. And what was really cool for me was that my brother was getting his Level 1 certification at that particular certification. So it was really cool to have him and my husband Eric there. And just to have them like witness this thing that I had been training for 3 years and completed, and that was like huge. Like, I was sharing with, if we speak like directly to my immediate family, I was like sharing this moment, and my brother was going through his own experience of getting his level 1 certification, which is like, we know what that is like. That is like really intense, and it's very
Yeah.
transformational, and it's very meaningful. So he was having his own experience in that. And then I was having my own experience completing the Iron Maiden challenge. And it was just really amazing to have him there to help me celebrate it and help me celebrate him and his level 1 certification. And what's been really cool is like the first year that I moved out here to Vegas, I was a team leader at a level 1 certification in LA. And my brother and his now wife, my brother ended up assisting. He was being an assistant at that level 1 certification. So that
Awesome.
was really cool too. It was
That
like
is
I was
cool.
able to be a team leader. He was able to assist. His wife was there. His now wife was there. And so that type of stuff, those types of moments, events, experiences, I think that really represents like how important family is to me, and how like bringing all of this together in that way is for me, like the health, the fitness, and the family.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
So
That's
I got
beautiful.
I got one final question I want to ask you. What
sure.
is Artemis what is Artemis doing moving forward in 2025? Like what are some
Hmm.
goals that you're looking to tackle and get after for the
Okay.
2025?
Well, so I like going back to how 2021 was a really weird year and all that stuff. In 2022, I walked away from my business for a year and a half, and I went back to the corporate world. I was pretty burnt out, and I was just like, I don't know if I want to be an entrepreneur anymore. I don't know if I want to own my business. And so I went back and I worked in the corporate world for a year and a half. And then in 2023, well, 6 months into that, I was like, oh my God, I got to get the hell out of here and go back and own my own business again. What am I doing? My break is done. I'm good with my corporate sabbatical. It needs to be over. But so
That is
2023,
hilarious.
I
I
went
get
back
it.
to running my business. And when I came back, I was like, okay, great. I've had this time to step away, and like I've had this experience at like with perimenopause. I've found the solution. I'm like so ready to go back to running my business and sharing with midlife women what I have discovered and how I can help them, because I know I can. And so with that, when I walked away from my business, I had gotten to a point that we had a team. I had like three uh three team members helping me and everything. So since I've been back to running my business, it's just been me. I've been like, just like the solopreneur. So I do have a business coach. I've been working with her since July of last year. So I would say my goal to getting up to answering your question is like the goal of 2025 is I have slowly been working since I've been back. I've been slowly working towards like growing my business back. I have a group program right now called Midlife Muscles and Macros, which is open for enrollment. We start on Sunday, and I really want to grow this group. And it's slowly, I ran 2 sessions last year, and I have 3 women who have continued ongoing with me. And then I have some new women who signed up this time around. And I really want to just continue to grow this group and this community of women and midlife muscles and macros. So that's really a primary focus of this year. Like, yes, I have one-on-one clients, but I really think there's like strength in numbers and community and midlife women supporting each other in this group. So I really want to grow this group bigger this year. And I do want to get to a point where I can like, hire a little help in my business, an assistant, a virtual assistant, or an online business manager or something. And then the last thing that I will probably be rolling out, I've been wanting to do this, but it just hasn't been the right time, is I have an online training platform that I use, but I'm looking to switch online training platforms to this different platform that I am going to invest in. And with that new platform, my plan is hopefully by the end of the year, I'll be rolling out a subscription group. So a little bit different. The group that I have is more of like a a mid-ticket level, like you get like FaceTime with me on Zoom and in Telegram and things like that. And then so this like subscription group would be something that's like a little bit lower touch, like there's no Zooms or anything like that, but there'd be like programs and like nutrition information and stuff like that. So I'm hoping I can get that rolled out at the end of this year. So that's like business wise, that's what's happening in my life. And personal, I right now in the immediate, I just want to finish like settling into my new house in Vegas and get rid of the remaining boxes that are sitting in our living area right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what I want to
I hear
do.
that. I think you're gonna be phenomenal. We're thinking about taking Mobility Bros to doing webinars and highlighting educators and instructors and practitioners so that they can share with community and we can continue to build because 1 plus 1 can make a trillion and we can affect so many lives if we work together. And so I'm honored. I had to run to open the door because my kids just got home from school, so I know what it means to scramble a little bit. But I'm honored to have been here to spend this time to share this time with you and this unique time in the world after a pandemic and after overcoming all of those obstacles. You shine bright. I think women are going to be completely
Yeah.
um, changed by the way you communicate your experience so that they know it's not a judgment. Don't look at me and try to read a book by its cover. Let me share with you what truly goes on in my life, and let me see if I can help affect yours and echo positivity into your life. I think you do that beautifully, Artemis. The
Thank
name is
you.
strong and it fits your personality and your experience. And I look forward to meeting you, talking to you offline more, and learning more about what you're doing and seeing how fitness essentials can be integrated in some way, shape, or form in the future, and how we can continue to bless each other with community. So thank you for being on Mobility Bros today. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
your passion and your history, your story with us in our community. Ron, I know you said you had a final question. I am all out of
That
questions
that
today.
that she answered my final question, and I just want to just add a little bit on. I really do believe that women understand community for me more than men. They just gravitate towards each other a little bit more. That they always have that touch and that grab, and they see someone that's done it like you, and it's really like, oh my, wow, I want to, and they can look up to you and say, all right, I want to be you, I want to be that person, and you really bring that to them, and you're really, and except from what I gather and from what I see for you, you're so passionate, about that. So and the Dave's Killer Bread, I was like, oh my goodness, this girl about to take me out. She said somebody. She's like, somebody's eating Dave's Killer Bread, and here I am in the background. And I'm like,
A lot of people are eating it. Because
that's
I like
funny.
I pulled my stories and I was like, all right, this is
That's
like good
funny.
information to
But
know.
it's good. It's always good
It's
to
But,
learn.
important to pull your stories, yeah, to
Yeah.
get that data. It's so important.
yeah.
But
So, but thank you. Thank you for having me. I
thank
really
you.
appreciate
Appreciate
it.
you being on the show. And I'm just gonna close it out. I want you to stay awesome, keep stepping greatness, be legendary. Thanks, Artemis, for being on the show, Mobility Bros. And take care for now, and stay awesome.
We'll see you next time.
Next time.